Welcome back to Speaker Track. All right, Susie's going to share it again now that I've hit record.
So my biggest win was I in the shower I got inspiration to reach out to a fellow Studio 5 contributor, Mickey Eberhardt. She is a nutritionist and uh, does some counseling around food. And so we're a perfect collaboration because I don't help people with like mindset around food and stuff. I just teach them how to cook and give them the knowledge about food and clean food. Anyway, so I reached out to see if she wanted to do a cooking class together and around the holidays, and she said yes. And so we came up with like a healthy freezer meal class. We're gonna do live and put together like 12 meals and get people stocked and ready for the holidays. So it's going to be good to cross our audiences and support each other. And for me, I need other people to help burn the fire. I'm an extrovert, right? So I need people to help stoke the fire and get me excited about stuff sometimes. So it's perfect for me to be able to work with someone on that because it makes it so much more fun. And now our audiences can cross, and I can, and because I have Funnel Breezy, I can host the class and gather all the emails, and it just is easy now that I know what I'm doing and can make that accessible for her too. So anyway, I'm excited. We good. Free advertising, right? That's what we like.
That's what we want to hear. That is a beautiful flow and application of everything that you have learned and taking it to expand what you have and extend your reach. That's just absolutely gorgeous and so smart. You're leveraging what you have, and now it's going to be able to jumpstart and take off to the next level. Love, triple love. That's a great win.
I hope so.
Love it. Love it. And every time you're doing something, it's putting those drops in the bucket, and they actually yield. They will yield. So it's good. Everything you're doing, remember, whatever we do now, we hope to harvest in 90 days. So what you're doing now matters. That's a really good plan, especially before it gets full swing in the holidays. And then you're competing with all the other advertising. So good job.
And I just want to say it's not easy. Like it's this daily battle, right? Of like, oh, okay, what can I do? What can I do now? And the insecurities that arise, like I don't want people to think like, oh, it's just easy and all these ideas come, it's flowing and everything's great. It's like it is that battle sometimes. And I'm like, Heavenly Father, what's next? Like, I need to expand and keep selling and keep, supporting myself as a single mom. And so that pressure, I've never had that pressure. I've always had a husband. I've always been provided for. I've been a stay-at-home mom. So that pressure is intense. And I'm like, oh gosh, Heavenly Father, I'm going to do this. And how much money do I spend on advertising or this or that? Anyway, so I loved what you said once too, Connie, is like, nurture what's right in front of you. Like, I can't remember how you said it exactly, but it was like, we don't have to get out there. There's a lot that's just sitting right in front of us, And so I have had that happen recently with people, even people within the DTLC who have reached out and said, oh my gosh, I do need help with this. Can I? And so anyway, but I'm like, there was one other example, which I can't remember what it was, but anyway, it was just, someone right here in front of my face. I'm like, okay, I got to nurture those
Yes.
people too. So
Yes. And those will often be the most abundant because there are core concentric circles of people who know us, trust us. So the next steps are so much easier. When I was speaking at BYU yesterday, Noelani Wyas is the professor that asked me to come in and speak. And we had connected when I spoke for the Sorensen Center, and we were at the VIP luncheon table kind of thing together. And we were sitting with these dry as bones professors, no offense at all. And here comes Noelani, who's from Hawaii, and she just sits down across the table like, I'm here. And I was like, oh man, this just got better. And we were talking across the table like this. We could not stop talking. It was so great. But we were like, we are going to be doing something together. We don't know what. And we talked about wanting to do an event. Well, yesterday, in the meantime, she got married and had a lot of like life changes and things like that. And so when we were talking yesterday, she says, it's time. I'm ready. And I said, so am I. All right, let's talk. So we're going to lunch. And so it's this concentric circle. You make those connections, and it's not a user thing ever. It's more of a, oh, I can feel there's something here. And there's that creative spark of, I wonder what it's going to be. And then letting it develop as it needs to develop. Not like, all right, let's go, let's make this happen, but just really connecting and saying, is it time? Is it time? And then, okay, well, let's see if we can figure out what that looks like. Oh, here comes cute Shauna. See what that looks like. And let's brainstorm and see where the connector points are. And I can't tell you how often, ladies, those exploratory discovery luncheons, hi, sweetie, how often those discovery luncheons yield so much fruit. Just going and being completely transparent. And I started this years ago, and I would just say, I just would like to go to lunch. I don't know what this looks like. I really have no agenda here. I just want to explore and see where there's touch points, because I feel like there's something, but I don't know what. And sometimes it's taken 2 or 3, and sometimes it's taken 3 or 4 years. But then that feeling of openness and transparency between both people, it's made it so that so much can be created and there's no pressure. It's just let's see what happens and let's experiment upon the word. So it is something to consider. I would invite all of you, if you want to just make a list of like 5 people that are that concentric circle for you, and think, I wonder if I could talk with them and just either pick their brain or ask them 3 questions. That's always a good thing, is just say, I just have 3 questions I just need to ask. Is that okay? And I just asked this one gal and she said, yeah, just go ahead and send me a Marco, because it's crazy. We're going on a trip, but just send me a Marco with your questions and I'll Marco you back. And she did. She was so great. So I just encourage you to do that. When I was coaching with Chad, he was talking about, he's like, Connie, you already know people. And I went, I do. So I can just make a list, which I started, make a list, but I'm also getting really clear about what I want to talk to them about, because I just don't want to get on there and be like, woo, woo. That's different than someone I don't know. And I'm like, I don't know what this can make. Let's go and have a lunch and discover that, right? That's different than me knowing someone and saying, I know where they're at, and now I need to come with something clear and say, I'd love your opinion, or I'd love to see where this can go, or would you like to collaborate, or whatever. So great job. So good. Ingrid, any wins or learning?
I shared my big old in the DTLC on Wednesday, so everybody probably heard it already.
Did I
and
miss
shared
it?
with you on Marco Polo.
If that's the
So
one you share with me. Okay. All right.
yeah,
That was so cool. So cool. I was so proud of you.
I am so much better now.
Did you mention how you happened to run into Jordan Page?
Oh, no, I didn't mention that. I tried to keep it a little more concise. But yeah, I did. I ran into Jordan Page from Instagram at the gym at the rec center. And I was like, you're Jordan Page. You came to my nativity last year. And she actually live streamed the whole nativity on her Instagram, which everybody in the moment was like, what is she doing that is ruining the spirit? Like, turn off the phone. It's not about that, Everybody was kind of wanting her to be more in the moment, but I recognize now that may be a person, right, that I could reach out to. And I said, you came to my nativity, and she said, I totally did, and I want to help. So what can we do? And I was like, let's exchange phone numbers. Anyway, kind of cool.
If you guys don't know, Jordan Page is fun, cheap, or free, and she's like amazing. And I like, so you, Ingrid, just making that connection and just being fabulous, magical you of just authentic. And I love, and not getting all up in arms while she's live streaming and not being like, hey, Jordan, this is my event and please put your phone away, right? Whatever. That you stayed calm, cool, and collected and just handled it the way you handled it, to where now you see each other, she remembers, and she's like, how can I help? So good.
It was awesome. I remember some of my older kids were like, Mom, there's a person who's like live streaming the whole thing. And I was like, oh, just let it go. No big deal. You know what I mean? Just don't make a big deal. Let it go. And then Heidi Foss told me, because Heidi Foss is the one who knew her and invited her, because Heidi Foss was also in our nativity that year, helping out. And so she had invited her. And anyway, she told me, hey, go look I didn't know who Jordan was or follow her. And Heidi said, go look at her stories. She live streamed the whole thing. And so I was looking at him and I was like, oh, this girl actually has a little reach.
Yeah. Just a little.
Okay. That was like 2 weeks before attending the retreat, for me, attending the retreat as a participant. So all interesting timing once you look back and go, oh,
incredible exposure for the live nativity. I mean, honestly, so great. I just see great things happening with that. And the fact that she remembers it and she's excited and wants to help. It's awesome. Love it. That's a great win. All right, Shauna, you cute thing. You're not in the Delta Sky Lounge. What the what? Oh, wait, you're on mute, babe.
I'm home this time. I have a gallbladder stones or something, so I'm a little sick, but
no.
Yeah, I know. It
Are you get,
sucks.
are you getting surgery? What are you
I'm
doing?
going to the emergency room right now. My doctor just called and said he doesn't want me to wait till Monday. I mean, Saturday when they were going to do the ultrasound because it hasn't got better. So he said, just go do that and they'll do it in the emergency room.
Oh, sweetie, I'm so sorry. Look at you. You stellar Xena woman. You are like right here in speaker track. Oh my gosh. We're going to make it worth your while. That's so great. Awesome. Diane, do you have any wins or learning? Oh, wait, you're on mute, love.
I wasn't prepared for you to ask me. I don't know.
We're shaking it up.
DTLC was awesome yesterday. I thought that was really good. And Ingrid, did you see that Tina cleaned out 3 bags of garbage from her garage? I know Ingrid's still inspiring us with her get rid of 2,000 things. We got to have Ingrid come and do that again, like for us, because that was so good. So
Absolutely.
no, I'm just doing the things.
Awesome. Well, you sweet ladies, I'm so excited. Great stuff. Let's jump into the speaker stuff. And thanks for your patience. It has been a very busy week. And I was so sad to miss DTLC yesterday, but you were in my heart. I feel like Phil Collins, you'll be in my heart. You were. It was wonderful. It was awesome. And I wanted to share just a couple of things. I always like to share in this setting. It's a little bit more intimate and exclusive. And so I wanted to share a couple of things that I learned from the speaking thing yesterday. And from the things and even doing the speaker lab today. So first and foremost was be prepared when you're speaking for things to not go the way you planned, and that's okay. That before you kind of freak out and need to go back to your outline and feel like, where am I at? What am I teaching? What am I supposed to be doing? If you need to, ask a thought-provoking question so it gives you time to say a little prayer and say, Heavenly Father, is this the right path? Is this the right path? Because yesterday, I've spoken to the experience design groups before, and yesterday I was using similar slides and I had updated stories and things like that, but I had clear impressions to share stories that were highly personal and that I usually do not share. And I was like, what? And several times, not just one time. And I kept finding myself wanting to like go back to the monitor and be like, wait a second, where are we at? Am I giving them what they need? Right. And there were times I just skipped over quotes and stories and things. I mean, I still showed a slide. That's really bad form, by the way, to just say, oh, we're going to skip these 2 slides or whatever, because an audience always feels gypped. So even if you're like, we're going to go through a little quicker because we've taken some time to be able to talk and connect. So I just want to make sure you get this as we go. Then you can just summarize that slide. And so they don't feel like they missed out on something. So I was doing that, but it was really interesting. And there was like right in the middle, I was like, where are you taking me? Like and again, I was like, am I not understanding? Am I not feeling what I'm supposed to be feeling? Like, what's going on? And afterwards, the kids are always so nice and they're always so gracious. But there were several of the kids that specifically said to me, that was so powerful. That was for me. This thing was for me. One gal left and then came back and she said, I left and I came back because I felt this impression I needed to tell you. We're moving to Vegas and these stories that you shared were for me. That was exactly what I needed to hear. And I was like, who knew? Like, honestly, you guys, I felt like it was almost like a testimony meeting. I was talking so much about Christ and about their divine identity and who they are and what a gift it was for them to be at BYU and that they're chosen people. And I'm like, stuff's coming out of my mouth. And I'm like, they're probably going to feel like, okay, I came for a business thing and not a general conference kind of wannabe. Like, what the heck? It was powerful, but I cannot tell you the spirit in that room. Oh, I mean, I can get emotional and things and I try to pull it back and all of that. It was probably like maybe 6 times that I literally paused and I could not speak and I had to hold on. And I apologize. I was like, okay, this is not typical even for me. So anyway, just be prepared. If it doesn't go the way that you think, just ask a thought-provoking question. Just say a little prayer. Am I on the right path? And if you don't feel like no, then move forward on whatever he's asking you to do. And then second, I literally yesterday morning, the second thing is the Lord has prepared the path. he'll give you the capacity. And I know you know this, but I want to give you a second witness on this, because what will happen is that you're going to have to shift gears, and you're going to have to shift from first to fifth, back down to third. And you're going to say, I can't do that. Like I'm a human being, and there's no way I can't do it. And that's how it's been the last 2 days, where I'm shifting gears to different audience, different things. I went to Studio 5 and there was a huge accident, and I'm looking at the time, and they already scheduled me for first segment so I could come back down and do the BYU teaching. And I'm like, Heavenly Father, and I just had to pull it down. I just had to say, Heavenly Father, if it's possible, please clear this. Please help the people who have had an accident down the road, whatever's happening, but please help clear this. If it's important for me to be able to get there and get there on time. And I got there like 2 minutes after. And then they had tech problems. So I was able to take a minute and be able to catch my breath and get myself set. And that's what he'll do. He will prepare the path. I've never, in 18 years, they've never had a tech problem while I'm sitting there, ever. So it was a sign to me that the Lord was like, it's okay. And when I woke up that morning, it's after Halloween night, you guys. So in that morning, I was just like, Heavenly Father, I don't have it. I don't have it today. I'm tired. There's a lot going on, and I don't have it. And I'm back to back. I'm doing Studio 5. I don't even remember what I'm saying. I've got to figure out what I'm saying. I'm doing an IG live so we can squeeze it in. I've got to find a place that I can do it at the Tanner building. And then I'm going right in to speak. And then boom, I'm coming back, and I've got this and this and this. And I'm just thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do it. And he prompted me as I was thinking that it was ask for a place, ask for a room. And I texted Noelani and I said, hey, is there a room that I can go and do this IG live? Because has anyone been to the Tanner building? Okay, Ingrid, is it quiet? Not even in the hallways. There's no quiet space. There's no nothing. And I'm like, I'm going to be standing outside doing this IG live as cars are passing. It's ridiculous. They have interview rooms. Who knew? Now I have a resource. Now I can tell people they have interview rooms up there. So I went in, had my own little room as long as I wanted. It was the best. So the Lord just prepared the path, and he will do that. So just know, if you get to a place where you're like, I can't do that. I don't have this. I'm not ready. I can't do it. Just know he's prepared the path. He has created capacity, and you just need to step into it, and it's okay. So those two were really important things. The third thing was the importance of delegating whatever you can, even with speaking. So I was doing the speaker lab today. And at first, one of the gals, she has co-chaired with me before, and she's not in a leadership position anymore. And I didn't know if she'd want to or not. And I was reaching out to her, and she wasn't really like moving on it or anything. So at first I was like, you know what? I'll just do it. I can just do it, and I can take care of it. So I know that it will get done. And then I just had this thought of, I need to be able to delegate. I will not be able to do this myself, even though we're all capable women, knowing that, no, I've got to, even though this is like a speaker lab thing, and it's been templated and all of that. And so I reached out to her and I said, hey, I just need to know if you can be official, if you're official to be co-chair, because what was happening for me, she wasn't official co-chair. So I felt badly asking. I don't know if you've ever been in that situation, and I felt badly asking, but if she's co-chair, she gets a free video that she gets to record. So I was like, are you in for being an official co-chair? And she's like, I'm totally in. Well, then I didn't feel bad at all giving her things to do. And it was the best decision ever, because she took care of things that I didn't remember we needed to do. She took care of emails. She took care of the speaker training when we had recorded the speaker training, and for some reason we could not find them on my stuff. So she said, do you want me to take this? I can do these speaker trainings. And this was right in the middle of last week, the week before, where it was like, there was no way. So she was able to take care of those things. So gather your allies, gather your team, even if you're speaking and it's you and you alone, or even if you're doing something that like you're over and maybe just one other person, make it clear what the assignments are, what's happening, and then how in they are. Are you 50%? Are you 75? How much can you do? And then use them. Even if you're doing some speaking assignment that maybe it's, I'm thinking like Studio 5, you come to Studio 5 and you had an assistant who was helping you or whatever. You use them, because she rocked it today. She made that event go so smoothly, and I would have been in tears. So that was just a really, really great thing. And then, okay, last point was dress for your audience. So I had an outfit on, and luckily I have my 24-year-old daughter home. And so she comes and she looks at it, and I said, what do you think? And she's like, well. So I had the great dress, but I was like, well, I got these Scottish knees, so I want to put the black booty knees. So I want to put my black tights on, but I was going to wear heel, like they were like lower heel, you know, kind of with a loop around or whatever. And I thought they would still be fine. And she's like, no, if you're going to talk to BYU teens and young adults, right, you put the boots, do the half boots, and it'll look so good. And I walked in and Noelani looked at me and she went, oh my gosh, you are working it. Oh my gosh, you're working it. It was so great. I was like, Chelsea, check. So dress for your audience because
Wait, tell us the half boot. Like, is it like the heel boot that and then it comes up just a little
the
bit?
heel boot like that, and then it comes up this far for the ankle boot, right? And then I had the black tights on, but they were thinner tights, like not opaque, but the thinner tights. So it just this one line. I'll post a picture, and it had like the pointy. So when I put my foot out with the pointy, and I just felt like I wasn't trying to be like cool, but I was being like, I'm not just, you know, a frump mom that's talking to you today. So dress for your audience, because I was like, well, I'm coming from Studio 5 and I'm coming down here, and I had a very Ann Taylor look because that's what I like to wear at Studio 5. But that would not have worked for them. It would have been like, I'm businessy, right? Instead of she's kind of hip, somewhat. I think I might be able to listen to her. So something to consider. See, if Shauna would have been around, she would have shown me how to dress. So anyway, those are just a couple of tips that I learned from the last couple of days, and they were really, really helpful. And they may seem like they're kind of small, maybe in a sense, but I got to tell you, they were life-saving. I cannot even tell you, life-saving. So anyway, and at the end of the speaking at BYU, Noelani came to me and she said, okay, when are we doing lunch? Let's talk about doing an event together. And I was like, I'm on. So it worked. Apparently the boots were the thing. So those are just a couple of thoughts. So let's get to the homework from last week. And then we're going to talk just a couple of tips on getting the gigs. So last week, raise your hand if you had a chance to go over or do anything with your speaker one sheet. Anyone have a chance? I know it's crazy. Don't worry about it. That's why we have modules. So you don't have to stress it. And you can do it at 11 o'clock at night next week when you're like, oh, it's due. Yay. I will do that now. I do invite you to go and do your speaker one sheet. Now, here's the thing. Keep it simple. Just make it a rough. Just get something to play with, something to start with. And I promise you, you are going to use the speaker one sheet. I wish I had $1 for every time someone who went through this and got certified and they were starting to work on their speaker one sheet. And I was encouraging them to sign up for something, submit for a speaking assignment. And what did they need? They needed the bio. They needed a speaker one sheet. They needed something that had their headshot and their contact information. And they would like, oh, I did my speaker one sheet. It was so easy. I'm like, yeah, exactly. And it makes you look so professional. So please go on, watch the speaker one sheet module. Anybody watch the module yet? Did anyone get a chance to?
I was just gonna say that isn't in the homework thing that I had. I thought it was working on your one story. Weren't we on?
Yeah, it's
You guys, I'm so sorry. I keep forgetting we're in speaker B. Speaker B. I'm so sorry. You guys are
yeah,
like,
I was
I
gonna
never
say
heard
this
that.
didn't say that on it. I'm like, maybe that's not the right one.
do you guys know how many times if you ever see deleted text on the WhatsApp? That's what's happened. I'm doing this. I see the speaker track, and so I start doing that because we've never had two going at the same time like this. And I start posting, and then I go next to the next speaker, and I'm like, oh. Or I go to the author track, and I've posted the author track, and the thing because I have all the tracks on the same day. Honestly, it's so bad. So I'm so sorry. Psych. Just kidding. Okay, now you're like total relief. Oh, I'm doing so good. So no, that is not your homework. So this week we are on week 5. I'm so sorry. Now I'm changing my page.
Yeah, our assignment was to do the 5-minute video to our partner.
Yes. How did that go? How was the peer review process, and how was the filming your video process? I would love to know something that you learned from that. Did you get any insights, anything that you gained from that about how you do on a video? Any thoughts?
I learned I looked like an idiot.
It feels that way. It feels that way. I can't hardly watch myself. It feels that way.
I did better to turn it around. So I didn't see myself while I was doing it. Instead, I wasn't going, oh, oh, yeah. Oh, wait, yeah, wait. Oh, why'd you hold your mouth like that?
It's the Marco Polo pat down. Anybody done that? You get on Marco Polo and then you're like, oh, the hair.
Oh, I hate it.
Oh, yeah.
that
And you're
the whole
talking
day?
and you're going like this the whole time. Yep, exactly. It's like, oh, I need lips. Yeah, okay, yeah. I love it. Anybody else learn something from doing the video?
I didn't do the video yet. I'm behind, but I'm reborn. So hold tight. You can hold your breath because things are going to start happening. I have a great idea of asking for speaking opportunities. Something came to me while we were here. So, but what I learned from doing those 2 Instagram reels for you about Organize October, like it's a process, like just practice and do it. And it's okay if it's crummy the first 18 times, because the 19th time it's going to be good and you learn. So just patience and practice, and the B+ B- mindset is my new best friend. It took me a while. Sorry, I'm slow, but because I've been just trying to post things and just get more comfortable with being out there. I'm not being super strategic necessarily, but I'm also just trying to just show me, because we're our brand, right? So I'm like,
Yes.
this is me. And I know I'm talking about the live nativity and teaching other people how to do it, but I'm also like, here's how I do it. It's that I try to just keep life simple and systematic so that life is doable. And then there's room for something like that in my life. And I could talk, simplify and systemize till I'm blue in the face. That is my favorite thing to talk about. So I'm just trying to kind of just get a little traction there, whatever, but practice is the thing, and just don't wait till it's perfect, because we know that never happens, and it's okay that it's B or C level or worse. It's okay. Just do it anyway.
I love this. Okay, what would you say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like knocked it out of the park? What would you say for that reel like you did with the smoothie? How well do you think you did that one?
Oh, it was probably like a 7. But you know what was the funnest thing about that is my husband came home from work and goes, I saw your reel with the smoothie. He goes, that's the best video you've ever made. He said it was just cute and natural, like your normal voice, your normal personality. You were just shining. You were talking about something that you love to do, which is make smoothies and make it easy, right? So anyway, he just kept gushing and gushing. And I was like, dude, like, you don't have to pour it on so thick. It's fine that it wasn't that good. And he's like, no, you don't get it. It was so good. And it was very sweet.
It was so good, to the tune of 990 views.
Oh,
yeah. Ladies, do
I had
you
no
see
idea.
that? She thought it was a 7, and it's 990 views. And even better, it was about half and half of new accounts, old accounts. So
Is that on Facebook?
That was on Instagram. And it was called Organize October. And it's the first one is a smoothie, and the second one, I can't remember what you did on the second one. It was so good. But
Cabinet.
Oh yeah, the cabinet, the baking cabinet. Just so you know, I have seen your IG stuff that you're doing, and it's so good. It's so good. So keep what you're doing going, because you can tell you're in your zone of genius. It's classy. It's really well done. Keep doing it. You're doing a great job. So wanted to make sure you knew that. That is amazing. So
thank you. Let me say one last thing is that my idea of simplify and systemize rolls so well next to like New Year's. So I think if I can get a little keynote presentation, something built, I could put out to my audience that I'm interested in talking to your like Relief Society. If you want to talk about New Year's habits and goals, or you want to talk about getting organized in the new year, or you want to talk about simplifying things and like getting on top of it, the New Year's resolution we make every year, yes. Every woman on the planet for the history of forever, I'm your girl. So like, let me just come talk to your homemaking night. I know it's not called that anymore. Wow. How old am I?
Formerly known as, yeah.
Yeah. Formerly known as Enrichment Night, which was formerly known as homemaking. Yeah. That. Anyway, super simple. And I've talked to Relief Societies before. That doesn't scare me at all. Maybe I should be doing things that scare me, but I did women's conference.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Can you do anything after that? Yeah, you can. And don't knock the Relief Society nights. I was going to say Enrichment Homemaking Night as well. Anyway, don't knock those nights, because you're making those connections. And like Diane's talked about before, you're making connections. Those people know people, and they know that you're there to help them and love and serve them. There's been people who have come and spoken at my ward, and they were like selling books out of the trunk of their car. It was so funny. Now, I don't do that because I'm like, okay, no, it's a church thing. But you can give them a free opt-in, a free download of like 3 easy ways to organize your shopping list for Christmas dinner, or like, here's a little one-step template planner for organizing your gift shopping, your food shopping, and your, event thing. I have I have a little planner thing that I did. I'll show it to you and you can maybe use that idea. Sorry, but while we're talking about it, it went with my Simplify and Savor book. And then in there, we did the why of the season and whatever. But then, and this came back, it was not the right thing. It was supposed to be, the printer was supposed to do it on the whole page because it's like the teeny tiniest spaces. But this was organizing, it was do, by, call, other, and that was the planner. And then here was the planner by holidays. So they had the holidays and they would know what they were supposed to do and who was going to do what, set the table, blah, blah, blah. And then there was a gift giving section where it was like who, everybody's names for their gifts. And then it was planner by the meal, appetizer, main meal, dessert, entree, whatever. So again, whatever, you've got a way better plan. But the reason why I did this is so that women, and I use one every year, even with the little mini spaces, because it's one spot for me to keep all of the gift ideas, the things who I've already bought for, blah, blah, blah. Most people maybe keep it on their phone now. I like this. When I'm going to a store, I keep it in my purse and then I pull it out and I'm like, now what was I supposed to do? And I can make notes and I can keep all the sticky notes and everything in one spot. It is the bomb. This would be nothing for you to create. It would be so easy. So anyway.
Can you teach my keynote for me? That was awesome. And I have that book, so I can look at it. I think I have that book.
So easy. So anyway, just something like that, a free thing that you can give away, and that would lead them back to you if they want more. So slick. I think that's a great idea. Love. Awesome.
So Ingrid, I'm curious. So this whole simplify and systemize, I think that's amazing. And I didn't know, I kind of knew that you were big with organization or whatever. So do you have a passion for pushing that? Like, do you need an Instagram that is that, or to change your name to that? And then the Night in Bethlehem is part of what you offer as a system at the end of each year as you push that. But like, do you want to help? Do you want to help people systemize and like push an Instagram that way? Like,
that is a good question. I did snag the Instagram name Systems by Ingrid. So I own that one, whatever. But I haven't ever put a single thing on there. I don't know. Like, is it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I could also just use my personal one and build, you know what I mean? And I could build my personal one because I've got like 200 followers on Night in Bethlehem, but 1,000 or so on my personal one. So maybe I just turn my personal one into more.
I was just going to say, you could consider, now that you've got people are following you, obviously, because they love what you do and the things that you're sharing those fairly consistently about the simplify and systemize and your finds and all the things. If you could maybe even consider changing it to simplify with Ingrid or simplify and systemize with Ingrid, something like that, it will still keep the Ingrid in there. That would still make it understandable, but it would still bridge that simplify and systemize. I personally love the idea of simplify because systemize sounds very clinical. It sounds like I'm going to have to do a spreadsheet or something like that. This is just me. So it might be good to do a beta test before you change anything. But I agree. If you have something more specific and more focused on this thing, because this is your zone of genius, you do this all day long. And in my opinion, Night of Bethlehem sort of is an offshoot of that, of how do you simplify and systemize the celebration of the Savior on a community level so that everybody can do that, right? So find the tether that goes back to that. And I think that's the way that it tethers. But it's just a thought. Again, that's just food for thought. I love that, Susie.
Thank you.
And on that note, I just noticed today when we were at Speaker Lab, there was a gal that I've watched her over the years, and she's kind of jumped from one thing to another ish. But her main thing is always this river that flows through it has always been marketing, something to do with marketing. People reach out to her about marketing. She does marketing really well. But then recently she's changed more in the last couple of years. She changed more to more of being happy and things like that. And I noticed today she gave a great keynote that she videotaped, but I was thinking afterwards, I could see she was tethering. She was trying to tether being happy and having a happy mindset and marketing. And she was saying, I can teach you marketing principles all day long, but if you don't have the right mindset, it's not going to work. And that worked to a certain level, but it wasn't super clear or powerful, right? How those two went together. And when she was done, I thought if she called it mindset marketing, that would be different. Like, because it's marketing, but it was with a twist, right? Mindset marketing. Wait a minute. What does that mean? And how important is that? And then she could throw out stats of this is why you've got to get in the right mindset of marketing, because you're just going to throw money out at things and think it's going to work, but it's not. You've got to get in the right mindset of what's going to work for me, for my audience, blah, blah, blah. And then she could tether in the happy piece, because that's going to make you peaceful, happy, and not stressed, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm not saying that's the best way for her to go. I'm just saying that would have stuck with me more, because now I can't remember a lot of what she actually said, but that whole idea of mindset marketing, that triggered. I was like, oh, that's a cool thing, because nobody's really talking about mindset marketing. And yet we all know how important that is, mindset for yourself and for your audience. So anyway, do you see what I mean? So if you tether what you have, if you put that simplify and systemize, or whatever you want to say, and then that's part of it, you can put Night in Bethlehem in there. I like you have a dedicated IG for it as well, because if people just want to go, they want to get resources, that's going to be a convoluted, thing in your regular IG that they're going to ask questions, and you want it to be interactive and people connect from all over, on the Night in Bethlehem. So that's a good thing. That's a good idea. But I like this idea of having that simplify and sit, and then you can pop in, hey, we're doing Night in Bethlehem, and it's a seasonal thing. And then if you end up doing an Easter one, it's a seasonal thing, right? And so they expect it. So anyway,
Yeah.
something to consider.
I think that the tether needs to be very organic, and it needs to be like you, right? You're your brand. And so the tether makes sense because that's your two things. Like, these are my two things, but it makes sense because that's me. That's who I am. It's what I do.
That's who you are. And the way that you're doing it right now on social media, so good. So good. If you get a chance, I don't know, Shauna, if you watch what she's doing on
I was just looking, I can't find. I found your personal. Is it different than that one on Instagram?
I think my personal one, the personal one, and then in my bio of my personal one, it links to the Night in Bethlehem one.
Okay.
But I've kind of tried to be more active on both, and I don't know if I'm serving two masters, but anyway.
You know
I
what?
don't know where so just back to really quickly, you were saying you have so many followers on your Instagram. How do you see how many followers you have?
Click on your picture down in the bottom right.
Oh, I'm in Facebook. Let's see. So, okay. Okay. So it says, so I only follow 300.
But followers are in the middle and at the top of that page. So you'll see your picture on the left. Then it will
So
say
it says 1.5 and then a K.
So 1.5K, is that number above the word followers or above the word posts? Oh no, that is not. Is that Instagram?
No, that's my
Facebook.
Facebook. Where I'm doing
Facebook.
That's the followers on Facebook.
Yeah. That's
so
Facebook.
1.5, and then on my
Instagram, if you go to the top, you press on the bottom right, your picture on the bottom right, and it will pop up your page, and it should have your name at the top and your picture below your name. And then to the right, you're going to see those stats, the number of posts you posted, the number of followers, and then who you're following.
So I've only posted like a few.
That's
and then it just said 600 followers.
That is not a just. If you've only posted a few posts and you've got 600 followers, Shauna, that's
I don't even know how to.
Yeah, that's really good. So don't stress out. We're going to have Katrina come on and talk about social media and ways to like burgeon your social media. So stress not. But for the meantime, as we're talking about the keynote, I do want you to think what pieces of your keynote you can go on and actually share on your social media. Now, you're not going to do this one big chunk, but you can go through your modules. I talk about it being modular, the first point, second point, third point. We've been working on the first point, and now you should be working on your second point and being able to do your second point. Now, if you've already got a second point, you can start working on your third point, obviously. But how many have watched the 5 S's module? Have you had a chance to do that yet? Anyone? Okay, that just tells you how to do more of the S's, the stellar quote, the spiritual, or the activity, the spiritual quote, blah, blah, blah. So it just helps you flesh out those points, 1, 2, 3 points. So I encourage you and invite you to do as quickly as you can, get to the 3 points and bullet point them out. So you should have your first sentence that says, this is the first point. Like for me, if I was talking about purpose, the first point would be purpose changes everything. And then it would be a quote. And then it would be here's an example of why purpose changes everything. And then here's a person's story or experience, why that is. And then I'm going to have a little funny or an activity or a little, hey, I'm going to have you do these first 2 points on your purpose statement. And then I'm going to follow it up with a cementing quote, an anchoring quote that says, wow, that's a second witness, or a personal experience of my own. And then I'm going to go right into the second point. Does that make sense? So for this outline, it's just an outline still. You're just going to bullet point these 3 points. So again, if you've got 1, then go to 2. If you've got both points, then go to number 3 and just keep moving forward.
So should we have those 5 S's in every point? Like use them all?
You don't need to use them all. They are
That
just
is
an
a couple.
idea of things that you can use. I generally do 2 or 3, and oftentimes I'm doing 5 because maybe I'm doing a quote and then I do a stat. I'm talking along and then I throw in a stat, and then maybe I throw in an example of someone that's from like a conference talk, and then, or out of the best books, like a business book. And then I'm having them do a sample activity. And then I have like I said, an anchor quote. So I end up using 4, maybe 5, and there's more than 5 S's. It's just so that people don't get overwhelmed. They have a place to start. So use as many or as few as you want. If you're doing more of a narrative thing, you might be more of, you're just going to have them do a thoughtful activity that's going to help them journal. What did they learn from that? What helped them move forward? Blah, blah, blah. And if that's the case, you can just do 1 and it's a good juicy thing, but then cement it, anchor it with a quote, or then after that, your own personal experience or something like that, either to kick it off or close it up. Remember, each of those points are going to be anywhere from, you've got 3 to 5 minutes for your opening, 3 to 5 minutes for your closing. Again, this is ish, so don't stress it, but just this is about an ish. And then in between in those 3 points, it's going to be anywhere from 7 to 12 minutes, depending on how long you take for any of those beginning, ending, or if you want to burgeon one in the middle a little bit more and expand that a little more. But just know you kind of want to keep, generally speaking, each of the points about the same cadence. So it's not bad to have like a little more expansion on one, especially if you're doing a special activity. People understand that. But if you're super top heavy on one point and then you're super short on the other 2, people just feel like something's kind of like off. Like she really emphasizes, but these 2 were kind of like not quite the same importance. So just keep that in mind. But on your points, you only need to come up with about 10 to 12 minutes of material. And that 10 to 12 minutes of material, you'll be shocked at how fast that goes and how quickly in what you're doing, it will go like that. And especially if you do an activity, if you have them do a thinking activity and then maybe share it with each other, and then maybe you ask for people who wants to share 1 point, that's 5 minutes right there at least. So if you get to where you're like, oh, I don't have a lot, then have an audience participation and engagement activity. And then you're not stressed. Then you know you can fill with a story and then a final quote at the end if you need to have a little bit more time that you got to fill in.
This is a quick question.
Yeah.
So I send what I have over to Ingrid?
Yes. So when you're done with, say, how many points do you have done? Do you have a first point done, a second point done? Where are you kind of at on what you have? It's all good. It's all good. There's no shame.
I don't know what the points are. That's where I get mixed up. Like I've got my start, and so I can send that over to her.
Perfect. Send what you have so that someone can give you peer review and give you feedback. In the meantime, if you want to coach, let me know and we can go through what would be some good points and pull out what you got. And also, until we coach, and go ahead and go on my conniesogel.com/apply. Until then, I would look at that story and ask yourself, what is this teaching? Where is this leading them? Is it talking about grit and grace? Is it talking about resilience? Is it talking about 3 ways to go from X to Y, 3 ways to be rock bottom and go to sky high, right? Whatever. So start looking at what that story, that hook story is teaching them and where you want to take them. And that will naturally help you see, well, they've got to acknowledge the problem and say, wow, I'm in this problem. And then second, they've got to say, I need help. I've got to get someone to help me out of this hole. And then the third thing is they've got to either partner with the Lord, or they've got to take the first step, or whatever that might be. Nice. Great questions. So that's the assignment for this week. is rough your bullet point outline as much as possible so you have a working rough by the end of this week. Now, I know things are crazy and can be crazy. So again, if you're like, I can't get all 3 points done, don't worry about it. Just get 1 point done and then go from there. And then go from there. So send what you have to your peer review partner by Monday. Again, you can work it out with your partner. We usually say like by noon and then get it back to them by 5 the next day on Tuesday, because that gives them a little extra time, little buffer. But you can work that out with your peer review partner. Okay.
I forgot that I have a win.
Yes.
So I started a podcast yesterday.
I'll casually throw that out there. So
I know, I just remembered. I've been so sick, I'm delirious.
I just remembered, you poor love, and you're doing all this not feeling well. I'm telling you, you're going to be so successful because that's half the world gets stuff done when they're not feeling well. Good.
Oh, good.
Tell us about it. What's the name? What are you doing?
Well, I started, so I'm doing it with Kim. Kim, they're doing one that is for singles and the LDS singles.
Yes.
And so I'm going to be the one that's been LDS single and that they, you know, hope of what, if not, I guess not hope, but there's hope to a new life. It's not over when you get. So we started that last night.
How did it go?
I thought it was awesome.
Did you love it? Like, did you feel
She
joy?
just sent me things to go through to see. I think, again, it's easier when you're talking like this. If it's recording, I don't really think about that. And I'm not thinking, oh, why did I hold my mouth like that? Oh, it's going to catch me. Yeah, so I'm going to go through it and see, but it was great. I hope it works.
I think that's marvelous. Can you please post that in the WhatsApp and let everyone know, say, hey, everybody, I've started a new podcast. If you want to go check it out, and just let everybody know. That's big news, sweetie.
Oh, we haven't like aired it. Like we just did it. Now she has to
So this is
make
on
it look right.
You're just banking it right now. You're just stockpiling.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yes. So that's great. I would still put it in the WhatsApp and say, I did
Okay.
something big. I've actually started a podcast. We're banking the episodes right now, and I'll let you know when it goes live. So then they won't
Okay.
start looking for it. But tell us the name of it, and then tell us when you think it might go live, and that would be awesome. These great stuff today. So this week, you know what your homework is. Send it in to your peer review people. Feel free to send it to me if you want me to look over anything. I would love it. I would be happy to. And any questions, just Marco anytime, anything that you need, any questions you might have. I'm so much better with Marco. A little tip. If it's kind of busy, then go ahead and text me. I sent you a Marco, because sometimes I don't see the Marco until I'm on checking Marcos. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. So that would be a really helpful thing. All right. Great.
You know, when you do your talk, Connie, do you like when you have your little jokes, do you put that in your little talk too?
You mean the outline?
Yeah.
No, I don't, but I will say a story. Like if I'm going to share a story or I'm going to share something that's going to lead to that funny, then I'll share that. But I usually don't. Like the funnies that I make personally are usually just off the cuff and it's in the moment.
Okay.
But
All right.
I do know people who are humorous, and they list out, tell this joke, do this thing. And that's a good idea. Anything that's even just like a trigger word, that's a good memory thing for me. If I see one word, I go,
Okay.
oh, Jedi story. Then I'm like, oh, I know what that is.
All right.
Great
Thank you.
question. All right, ladies, love you. Have a fabulous week.
Ingrid, I just sent you a message on WhatsApp, just so you know. Okay.